They say time heals everything, but that's a comforting lie we tell ourselves to avoid the real work. Time doesn't mend what we refuse to face. Sometimes, the longer we wait, the deeper the cracks grow. True healing doesn't begin in calendars. It begins in confrontation, not with others, but with ourselves, with the moments we replay late at night, the words we wish we'd said, and the silence we used as armor. This isn't about fixing someone else. It's about reclaiming the parts of you that broke when the relationship did. Because somewhere between who we were and who we became, we lost something. And it's time to go back and find it. Broken relationships rarely break in loud, obvious ways. They fracture in quiet moments, when we stop asking how the other person feels, or worse, when we stop caring. The distance creeps in slowly, like fog over a field. One forgotten goodnight, one avoided truth, one more smile that hides exhaustion. We think love ends in betrayal or anger, but often it ends in neglect, in the quiet decision to stop showing up emotionally. And when we finally notice, we wonder how we got here, when the truth is, we've been drifting for a long time. We often hold others responsible for leaving us, but rarely ask ourselves, did I leave first, in heart, in honesty, in effort? Sometimes we build walls so high, not even love can climb them. We withdraw to protect ourselves, thinking it's a strength. But emotional distance isn't protection, it's poison. Every sarcastic joke, every "I'm fine," every time we turn away instead of leaning in, becomes a brick in the wall. And by the time we realize what we've built, we're sitting alone on the other side, wondering why they couldn't reach us. Repair doesn't start with fixing the other person. It begins with asking, who did I become when we started falling apart? Often, we lose ourselves in the chaos, trying to please, trying to win, trying to avoid pain. We stop being authentic because we're scared of being abandoned. But in doing so, we abandon ourselves. Healing is not about proving you were right. It's about returning to the version of you who knew how to love without fear. That's the person who can rebuild, not just relationships, but trust in others and in yourself. The truth is, most of us are not taught how to repair. We're taught how to replace. When something breaks, we throw it away. When a relationship gets hard, we scroll, swipe, and escape. But real connection isn't built in comfort. It's forged in the decision to stay, to listen, to try again when it's easier not to. Repair requires humility. It asks us to admit we were wrong, to sit with discomfort, to speak even when our voice shakes. It's not about who's to blame. It's about who's brave enough to go first. Before we repair a bond, we must first repair our ability to feel. Many of us have numbed ourselves in the name of strength. We confuse emotional shutdown with emotional maturity. But healing doesn't come from suppression. It comes from presence. From feeling the pain, not fleeing it. From letting it move through us, instead of locking it away. You cannot rebuild something while pretending it doesn't hurt. And sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is cry. We think communication is about talking, but the real magic lies in listening deeply, without interrupting, without planning your defense. Can you listen to understand, not to respond? Can you hear their pain, without trying to fix it right away? We're so quick to defend our intentions, we forget to acknowledge their experience. Relationships don't need you to be perfect. They need you to be present. And in that presence, healing begins, not just between you, but within you. Sometimes, we're not fighting the person in front of us, we're fighting ghosts. Childhood wounds, old betrayals, fears that have nothing to do with this moment. Unhealed trauma turns every disagreement into a battlefield. The smallest misunderstanding feels like abandonment, and in trying to protect ourselves, we end up hurting the people we love. True repair means asking, am I reacting to them, or something buried inside me that's still bleeding? There comes a moment in every relationship where you must choose your pride or your peace. Pride will tell you to win the argument, to stay silent, to wait for them to apologize first. But peace asks for something softer. It asks for courage to say, I miss you, even when you're still hurt. To say, I understand, even when you don't agree. Repair is not weakness. It's wisdom. It's choosing love over ego and connection over control. And yet, even when we do everything right, not every relationship will survive. Some endings are part of our becoming. Repair isn't always about reconnection. It's about release. Letting go of what was, so we can step into what's next. True happiness isn't found in clinging. It's found in honoring what we had, learning from it, and moving forward lighter. Because some people are not meant to stay, they're meant to teach. And once we learn the lesson, we no longer need the pain. Before you try to rebuild a bridge with someone else, ask yourself, have you built one with yourself? Most of us try to reconnect with others while still disconnected from who we truly are. We lose ourselves in relationships, adjusting, shrinking, overgiving, just to be loved. But how can someone meet you fully if you're not even showing up as your whole self? You can't heal with someone if you're still hiding from yourself. So first, return home to who you are. That's where real connection begins. Apologies are powerful, but only when they carry truth. I'm sorry is not a tool to erase guilt or end discomfort. It's a doorway to accountability. It says, I see how I hurt you. I understand why it mattered, and I am willing to change. Empty apologies are noise. Real ones are music. They don't just ask for forgiveness. They create space for healing. And in that space, trust can begin to grow again, slowly but stronger. One of the hardest truths to accept is this: love is not always enough. You can love someone deeply and still be unhealthy for each other. You can have chemistry and history and still lack peace. Relationships require more than emotion. They demand safety, respect, communication, and mutual growth. Without these, love becomes a battlefield, not a sanctuary. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is walk away, not from the person, but from the pattern. Forgiveness isn't about forgetting. It's about freeing yourself. Holding on to resentment is like drinking poison and waiting for the other person to die. It keeps you tethered to the moment of pain. But when you forgive, you cut the cord. You say, this hurt me, but it doesn't own me anymore. Forgiveness doesn't mean what they did was okay. It means you're okay now. And that is the beginning of true happiness. Not in revenge, but in release. We often think repairing a relationship means starting over. But the truth is, you don't need to go back to the beginning. You need to build from where you are, with new understanding, new boundaries, new intentions. The old version of the relationship may be gone, and that's okay. What matters now is, can both people show up differently? Can you create something more honest, more conscious, more alive? Because love that survives hardship is not weaker, it's wiser. Sometimes, the person we need to forgive is ourselves. For the times we didn't speak up, for staying too long, for hurting someone we loved out of fear or pride. Self-forgiveness isn't self-pity, it's self-responsibility with compassion. You cannot rewrite the past, but you can release the grip it has on you. You did the best you could with what you knew, and now that you know better, you will do better. That is grace. That is growth. True happiness doesn't come from the validation of others. It comes from living in alignment with your values, your truth, and your peace. When we seek constant reassurance, we hand over our power. But when we stand in our worth, quietly, unapologetically, we stop chasing and start attracting. You don't need to be perfect to be loved. You just need to be real, because realness creates resonance. And that's where the connection begins. Reconnection is not a one-time event. It's a process, A series of tiny, consistent choices. To show up, to listen, to be vulnerable even when it's scary, to ask, "How are you really?" It's about choosing presence over performance, effort over ego. You don't fix relationships in grand gestures. You fix them in daily decisions. The quiet, boring, beautiful commitment to care. And over time, trust is rebuilt. Slowly, honestly, steadily. Sometimes we keep people in our lives not because they're right for us, but because we're afraid of being alone. But loneliness isn't the absence of people. It's the absence of connection. And sometimes, walking away creates space for something truer to find you. You deserve a love that doesn't require you to shrink, a peace that doesn't come with conditions. And the longer you delay the goodbye, the longer you delay the healing. Healing a broken relationship, whether with someone else or with yourself, is never about returning to what was. It's about rising into what could be. The pain you felt was real, but so is your power to change. Every scar holds a lesson. Every tear carried a truth. And if you're willing to face it all, not to erase the past, but to evolve beyond it, you'll discover something profound. Peace is not found in fixing the old, but in finally becoming new. There's a quiet kind of pain that comes from being misunderstood. You try to explain your heart, but your words fall short. And over time, you stop trying. But silence doesn't mean peace. It means loneliness. If you want to repair a connection, you must risk being seen again. Speak your truth, even if your voice trembles. Because vulnerability is not weakness. It is the doorway to real intimacy, the kind that doesn't just hear you, but feels you. So many of our conflicts come not from malice, but from misalignment, different values, different fears, different wounds. Repair starts with curiosity, not assumption. Instead of asking, "Why would they do that to me?" ask, "What are they protecting in themselves?" When you seek understanding instead of blame, you begin to see the human underneath the hurt. And that is where empathy begins, not with agreement, but with awareness. You cannot force healing. Not in yourself, not in others. Some people are not ready to meet you in the truth, and trying to pull them there only tears you further apart. The deepest form of love is allowing someone to grow at their own pace, even if that means growing apart. You can hold space without holding on. You can wish them healing without needing to fix them. That's not abandonment. That's respect. Rebuilding trust is like growing a garden. It won't happen overnight. You have to plant new seeds, honesty, accountability, transparency, and then you water them with patience. You protect them with boundaries. You let the sunlight of consistency warm the soil. And yes, weeds of doubt will appear, but if you tend to it daily, something beautiful will grow. Trust isn't a promise. It's a practice. There's a myth that love should always feel good, but real love is uncomfortable. It challenges your habits, confronts your wounds, and invites you to grow. It will mirror your insecurities, test your patience, and ask more from you than you expected. But if you let it, it will also expand you. It will soften what was hard and strengthen what was weak. Love isn't always light. It's the fire that transforms. Often, we confuse control with care. We think if we can just manage everything, what they feel, what they do, we can keep things safe. But control is fear in disguise, and it strangles the connection. Love can't breathe where freedom is choked. True care is trusting someone to choose you, even when they could walk away. Because anything real is chosen, not forced. Not every repair needs a reunion. Sometimes, the most powerful closure is the one you give yourself. You write the apology you never got. You say goodbye. They were too afraid to speak. You look at the wound, not with bitterness, but with gratitude, because it woke you up. And in that awakening, you no longer need them to heal. You just need the truth, and that you already have. Time doesn't heal all wounds. Truth does. And the truth is not always pretty. It might tell you that you were wrong, that you stayed too long, that your silence hurt more than your words ever could. But the truth is not here to punish. It's here to free, to remove the fog, to open your eyes. And when you face it fully, even the most shattered parts of you begin to make sense. It's easy to say, they changed, but harder to admit how we did too. Change is not betrayal, it's life. We grow, we evolve, we outgrow. The people who met you in one chapter may not understand the next, but that doesn't mean the love wasn't real. It simply means it served its purpose. And letting go doesn't erase the beauty, it honors it. Healing doesn't mean forgetting what broke you. It means remembering without breaking. It means looking back at the pain and seeing the strength it planted, the clarity it gave, the resilience it built. Brokenness was never the end. It was the beginning of your awakening. You are not ruined. You are rebuilt. And every scar is a reminder that you didn't just survive, you chose to rise. Sometimes, the hardest person to forgive is yourself. You replay the moments you wish you could undo, the words you regret, the things you didn't see. But healing begins when you stop punishing yourself for who you were in survival mode. You did the best you could with the tools you had. Growth isn't about shame. It's about choosing better now that you know better. Forgive yourself not because you deserve to forget, but because you deserve to live. We seek love from others, hoping it will fill the cracks in us. But what we often need is not someone to complete us, but someone to witness us. And before anyone else can do that, you must do it first. You must sit with your soul and say, I see you. You must give yourself the validation you begged for. Because when you start loving yourself like that, everything changes. Even the kind of love you attract. We carry so much weight from the past. Words never healed. Expectations never met. Love never returned. But ask yourself this. Who are you still carrying that no longer walks beside you? The pain may not be your fault, but holding on to it is your choice. You are allowed to set it down now. You're not abandoning them. You're reclaiming you. There's a difference between moving on and moving forward. Moving on says, it never mattered. But moving forward says, it mattered deeply and I grew anyway. You don't have to erase the past to evolve. You just have to stop living in it. The future isn't built by forgetting what happened. It's built by learning who you became because of it. Real happiness isn't loud. It's not the constant chase for more. It's quiet, simple, found in moments of presence. Your first deep breath in the morning, laughter with someone who knows your scars, a sunset that reminds you you're still here. It's not about escaping pain, but learning to carry joy alongside it. Because peace isn't the absence of struggle, it's the ability to find light even within it. You cannot build your future in the shadow of who you used to be. Growth demands a kind of death, the letting go of identities, stories, and even people who only knew the old version of you. It's okay if not everyone understands your evolution. You weren't meant to stay small for their comfort. Rise anyway. Heal loudly. Become the version of you that once felt impossible. Some people are chapters, others are the cover, and a rare few are the ink. Not everyone who comes into your life is meant to stay, but they all leave you with something, a lesson, a reminder, a shift. Honor what they brought, even if the story didn't last. Because no love, no pain, no encounter is ever wasted when it teaches you who you are becoming. Many wait for the right time to heal, but healing doesn't come with a perfect day. It begins the moment you decide the pain no longer defines you. It begins when you stop asking for permission to move forward. The journey won't be clean. It won't be linear, but every step toward wholeness is a step away from the prison of your past. You don't need to have it all figured out to begin again. You just need to trust one thing, that your future deserves more than your past is offering. Growth is not about knowing the destination. It's about believing you're worthy of the journey. So take the next right step, however small. And know this: clarity comes in motion, healing comes in movement. Real happiness isn't found in what you fix, it's found in what you free. When you release the pain, the shame, the stories that no longer serve you, you don't become someone else. You become you, fully, freely, authentically. And that's where peace lives, not in perfection, but in truth. You've done the hard part. Now allow joy to follow. You are ready. You are enough. You are free. Forgiveness isn't saying, "What happened was okay." It's saying, "I'm no longer willing to let what happened keep hurting me." It's not about excusing someone's behavior. It's about choosing your peace over your pain. Forgiveness isn't a gift for them. It's liberation for you. It's the key that unlocks your own cage and reminds you, you were never meant to carry this forever. The people who broke you might never understand the damage they caused. They might never apologize. And that's hard. But healing means you stop waiting for them to make it right. You take your story back. You become the one who closes the wound, not with their words, but with your worth. Because the most powerful revenge is not anger, it's peace. Your value was never in what you could offer others, not in your usefulness, not in your ability to be strong all the time. Your value is in your being, in your breath, your presence, your essence. When you stop performing for love, you begin to receive it, fully, unconditionally, not because of what you do, but because of who you are. It takes courage to admit, "I outgrew who I used to be," and it takes even more to let that version go. You'll be tempted to shrink again, to go back to what was familiar, even if it hurt. But don't. You've worked too hard to become this version of yourself. Keep walking forward. Let the old life grieve, while the new one rises. The world will try to convince you that healing looks like strength, but real healing often looks like softness. Like saying no to things that once defined you. Like sitting with your emotions instead of outrunning them. Like choosing rest over hustle. Don't let the noise fool you. Peace is not weakness. It's wisdom. Not every story has a happy ending, but every story has meaning. The heartbreak taught you what love is not. The loss taught you what truly matters. The silence showed you the sound of your own voice. Your story may be messy, but it's yours, and that alone makes it sacred. There's no final version of you. No finish line where all is perfect. You'll evolve 100 times before your last breath. And that's not failure, it's life. Growth isn't linear. Healing isn't a destination. And happiness isn't something you find. It's something you create, moment by moment, choice by choice. True happiness isn't loud, shiny, or instant. It's quiet, a deep breath, a sense of wholeness that doesn't need applause. It's waking up one day and realizing you're no longer waiting for someone else to make you feel complete, that you are enough, that your life, in all its imperfect beauty, is worth living. Fully, freely, now. If there's one truth to remember, let it be this: you can begin again, no matter how broken, no matter how far you've strayed. Every moment is a door. Every breath is an invitation. You are not too late, not too lost, not too much. You are becoming, and the world still needs your light. Your healing journey won't be perfect, but it will be real, and that's what makes it powerful. So if this story spoke to you, don't let it end here. Reflect, rebuild, rise. The relationships you repair, starting with yourself, can unlock the happiness you thought you lost. Not the shallow kind, the true kind, the kind that lives in truth, grace, and growth. Subscribe to Billion X, where we don't just think differently, we feel deeper. Where broken isn't the end, it's where your real story begins.